Hello and welcome to a brand spanking new Crafty Simulations video. You join me at Wickenby Airfield for a little bit different of flying. See, the last couple of videos I've been doing featured a Vietnam hero in the UH-1 Iroquois, or better known as a Huey, by Targ Hangars even. However, we've gone back in time, even further than the Huey, and we've got the brand spanking new CAS J3 Cub. Now, it's very hard to find an aircraft, short of a paper airplane, that would be less than like a Cessna 152 or something like that. I mean, this channel is designed for general aviation aircraft. That's what we fly. A few warbirds every now and again, but, you know, general aviation, that's what we like to do. So I saw this aircraft, I saw this being developed, I saw a few preview videos, and I actually was quite impressed because there are quite a few Cubs out there in the flight simulator world, but they're always like the sporty Cubs or the supercharged Cubs or, you know, the faster Cubs. I mean, it's a Cub for crying out loud, they don't go that fast anyway. But this just could be the best version of an original J3 Cub on the flight simulator right now. So that's what this video is going to answer the question of. Is this the best J3 Cub? Now, you might be asking, when in the 18th century did a J3 Cub come from? Well, it is an old aircraft. It is an American-based aircraft, and basically think of this as a tiger moth minus a couple of wings, and you're just about there. It's as basic as an aircraft as you possibly can get and still be able to call it an aircraft. Yes, there are microlights out there that are probably more basic. There are probably microlights out there that probably go faster than this thing, but this is quite literally where a lot of pilots in the 40s started off. And still, today, the J3 Cub is still flying in large numbers because it's such a simple aircraft. Simplicity, in this case, works really well. So, like I said, there's been a few versions of Cubs out there on Flight Simulator for a while now. But this is how a Cub, in my view, should be. So I'm going to read from the feature list that the developers, CAS, have actually created. So to give you a clue of how detailed this very simple aircraft is. So we have a hand prop start procedure and engine start simulation. Okay, this thing, with some of the options turned off to make it more realistic, is a swine to start. It took me a while. I did get it started, but you can make this easier on yourself, which I have done. But it's nice that they've added the ability. It's like when you're inside the cockpit. I won't show you the cockpit just yet because it's a very detailed, very immensely brilliant cockpit. And that's not a joke. I'm not being sarcastic or anything. It's actually really, really good. But you actually can grab the prop blade and actually spin it, which is how you would start it in real. Obviously, you wouldn't spin it from inside unless your arms were like 7 foot long and could reach out the window. You'd get some mother poor sap who'd stand outside the aircraft and spin it that way, but we can't do that from the outside. We do it from the inside. But it's nice that the developers, CAS, have added that ability. So we have engine oil consumption. So this aircraft can have its oil obviously changed over time, and when you fly it, it will consume oil. Engine damage and failure. My favourite, and always I love an aircraft that will fail, usually because of my own stupidity. Physics-based animations. So this, I believe, as you can see at the moment, we have 2 people in the aircraft. The pilot sits at the back. The unlucky person who's going to sit in front of me would sit in the front, like this woman is. And as you move the aircraft around, if you put the brakes on, she actually leans forward. So it's realistic, and I've just leant forward in my seat, which you can't see, which is weird. Anyway, bespoke Microsoft Flight Simulator CFD flight model. Okay, so this aircraft handles pretty much how I expect a J3 to actually handle. It handles brilliantly. Aircraft state and condition persistence. Okay, so there's not many aircraft that actually have this. It's a state saving. So when you leave the aircraft, it will be in the state that you left it. Which I'm just thinking now, I'm hoping I left the aircraft correct. a variety of aircraft options. Landing gear failure on hard landing. Yeah, so don't thump it down, let's put it that way. Compact, hideable, custable avionics, transponder, and radio. So some of these aircraft don't have radios. I know in the UK, I think you have to have a form of communication, obviously. In the US, I think you don't have to under a certain altitude, because this isn't exactly going to be reaching 20,000 feet. But under a certain altitude, I don't think you do, or if you do, it's so basic, or you don't have to have a transponder. I can't remember, it's something like that. So you can remove that. We have a tablet for the aircraft settings and configuration. I'll go into that in a minute. Enhanced vibration and camera movement effects. Okay, so various bits and pieces of this aircraft will vibrate as they should. Synchronized high dynamic range engine sounds. This thing sounds exactly like a J3 Cub. Not something like, exactly like. It's uncanny. Custom pilot passenger models. We can see them already. My personal favourite is prop strike, which would be if you landed and you, I don't know, stood on the brakes and tipped the plane over, you can do a prop strike. That's where the propeller hits the ground. Not good. An interactive refueling screen and custom visual effects. Okay, so it's quite detailed. And it's not a very big aircraft. It's not, you know, it's not an advanced aircraft by any stretch of the imagination. It is a wooden airframe, I do believe, although the section here may be metal. But I do believe everything back fuselage-wise is fabric over wood. The wings are fabric over wood. The tail surface, I think that's going to be possibly... Is that metal or is that fabric? I can't tell. But again, I'm guessing it's actually fabric, isn't it? Because there's no screw marks. But wherever you look at this aircraft from, I know it's not what we'd expect. I mean, a lot of people fly, I should say, you know, Cessnas, and I love my DA-42, as we know. This is the absolute opposite of this. It's so basic and yet so fantastic. And the reflections all look good. I mean, this is a very good-looking, clear white aircraft, but you can see the fabric, it's not smooth, it's stretched as it should be, but you can see the dimples in the reflections on the flight controls there, flight surfaces even, control surfaces even. A very lovely crafted wooden prop blade. No such thing as prop pitch in this aircraft, it is what it is. So yeah, this aircraft looks absolutely fantastic. Moving on to the interior, I told you, very detailed. It's very detailed for a J3 Cub. So great views. This is one of these things. I mean, this aircraft is, like I said, a training aircraft. It's the first aircraft a lot of pilots would learn to fly. So you need an aircraft that can be difficult to handle, but also easy-ish to handle. So it is an easy-ish plane to fly. View-wise is absolutely fantastic. Bar straight behind you, you can't do that physically anyway, because that would hurt. But you've got good views out the left and the right and the straight ahead. Even though it's a tail dragger, you've got great views. Yeah, so we'll go into the control, the laptop here, sorry, tablet that's on this thing. So we have 4 options here. So we'll start off at the top one. So this is our weight that we're carrying. So we're carrying 20 pounds of weight, apparently. 5.5 gallons worth of fuel, which we can change as much as we like. So I'll put that back to 6, which I do believe it was before. So we got our weights. Our total payload is 170. Fuel is 40. Aircraft is 765. Total is 975 pounds. 975 pounds this aircraft weighs at the moment. It's not a heavy aircraft. If you want to remove our plucky passenger here, okay, we can actually add it. Oh, dear me, that would scare the jeebus out of me. Okay, so the view's now a little bit more restricted, but that's our plucky passenger. Like I say, she will move as we move the brakes and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to get rid of her because I don't need her. So we get rid of that. So that gets rid of her from the internal view, but as we went outside, she's still there. So if you click on this one here, she goes there, and now she's gone. So at the moment, all we have is 150 pounds, I'm going to say nothing to that, of me. So that's how we can change that. We can change the weights of the person as well. So we can add things. Obviously, the more weights we put in the aircraft, the less performance we're going to get. And remember, this aircraft didn't start off with a lot of performance. Moving on to the second one, we have our engine conditions. We have our presets here, so we can start by just clicking that button. We can prime the engine by clicking that one. We can repair it when we inevitably damage it, and we can click the cold and dark state. This is our oil section here. So currently we've got 4.4 quarts of oil in the aircraft. What I'm going to do to make this a little bit easier on myself, because it's still a challenging aircraft even though it's just a little cub, I'm going to click prime. So this now status is ready to go. So normally we'd have to prime this aircraft ourselves, but I'm going to do this for shortness. Move on to the third option is our effects that we can add to the aircraft. So we can add things like our tie down tag, is that? Yeah, there we go. It's got our tie down, so we don't need that because we're going to fly. So we've got tie downs left and right. This is our brilliant avionics section. Okay, so radios and transponder. So if you don't want that, you can get rid of that. So that just gets rid of that section. So we're not talking to anyone, so we don't have to worry about that. We can add things like, what are those things? Forgive me for not being engineering, I can't even say it, but I don't know what they are. I don't know if they increase the power or what, but we're going to get rid of them because I don't like them. But it's nice that they're there. We can add our wheel chocks. We can do this through using parking brake. So as you can see, there we go. Press the parking brake and parking brake set, and the wheel chocks appear. Press them again. Brakes go back to normal. And the the wheel chocks disappear. We can change our altitude style to HPA and inch. I can't think what that one is. One's American, one's UK, so I'm just going to keep that as it is. They're not going to be flying too high. We can change where the writing is on the aircraft. Don't think that's a biplane or anything, but we can have the writing on the top, right, or the bottom. So if we click on that, we can get rid of all the writing on the actual plane's registration number. As you notice, I've called it G Cube, which is a rough idea on my joke for G Cub. So we can change that in the before when we pick the aircraft. I can't think what the option's called off the top of my head, but we can change that in the one before we pick the aircraft. So moving on to the fourth section, we have our various options. So airframe vibrations, we can make this airplane vibrate to its heart's content. Gauges vibrations, again, we can make them vibrate. Engine vibrations, now this is a good one. This vibrates. It should vibrate. That's what the real thing does, and it will show that, so we can change that and bring it down. Dynamic camera forces, I've kept that in the middle. Tablet vibration inhibit, so we have the tablet on, it can vibrate with the aircraft. Engine damage is set to on. A headphones even sounds is currently off, so I want to hear the actual sounds. I can turn that on and it dampens the sounds because you would be wearing a set of headphones. The altimeter set, which I just went through, HPA and the other one. Tablet units are in pounds. Exhaust smoke, we do have exhaust smoke coming out of the bottom, which would be out of our exhaust stack just there. Cockpit persistence, we can turn that on and off. We can have the Microsoft Flight Simulator Pilot Avatar. I've turned that off, so this avatar we have now is one developed by CAS. It's neither here nor there. Same thing for the passenger avatar, the one that we had in the aircraft originally. That woman, she is from CAS, although we can have the Flight Simulators version. And we can have, this is the best one here, the engine start one click. Okay, so as I said at the start, we grab this prop, and if we had it all set up to run properly and therefore correct, we have to grab that and pull it down with the mouse and try to engage the engine, and it doesn't always start. It is realistic. I'm not going to take the point away from this because it is realistic. That's how you start it. However, I've set this so that I click that and hold right, it will just automatically start spinning the prop. And as long as I've got the engine set up right, i.e. the magnetos, and I have fuel, then the aircraft will start up. So moving over to the controls of this aircraft, it's very, very simple. I believe that's a fuel system for off. Is it? I can't exactly see. Can't think which buttons it is. Now, there we go. So a fuel system, I do believe that one is for on and off. So we'll leave that on all the way. We have 2 throttles because you can fly this from the front, although the pilot technically sits at the back, so we do have 2 throttles. I don't know where that one is. I don't know. What is it? Nope, not that one. That one. Carb heat. Don't need carb heat, but then it is down there. It's obviously when the aircraft is quite cold, or the weather, I should say, is quite cold. Nothing to worry about there. I'm going to run out of controls here. Obviously, stick is where it is. We do have one obviously down near us. Foot pedals, rudders are there, brakes are there. Moving on to the dizzying amount of instrumentation, we have an RPM gauge, an airspeed gauge, a compass, an altitude, an oil temp, an oil pressure, and a primer switch. So that's all you get. Don't forget about the GPSs, you don't get one. But this aircraft is all about just the enjoyment of flight, I think is a technical term for it. Mags are up here for some odd reason. That's about it. What I would like to draw your attention to, and this is obviously from an aircraft from the 40s, I might even be the late 30s. I'm not 100% off the top of my head when the first flight was, but you have wires connecting all the bits and pieces. And it's fantastic. Everything is held together with wires. It's so simple. There are wires running down this whole aircraft, running down to, I think you just saw them. Yeah, they're don't know if they're control wires, but they'll be running down to the various controls. It's such a simple, little, wonderful aircraft. One thing I will say is a negative is the controls for the doors here. So you have a lower door and an upper window section. So you can't open this unless you open this. So grab hold of the handle. Opening it is dead, he says, dead simple. There you go. It just kind of, once you've unlocked it, if he can do it again, that'll be nice. There you go, and it drops. Custom physics there. Now this is loose. And as you can hear, you get custom sounds with that as well. So to latch this up, grab hold of it, move it up, miss all together. There we go. Hold it up and it latches onto there. You can bring this back up again, but this is the problem. Trying to get the... I think that's it. Oh, God. Took me forever to get that thing to latch the first time I flew this aircraft. So, anyway, let's get this... Not that button. Let's get this plane up and going. Shall we? That's what you're really here for, so we'll just put that onto that. So, throttle is set. Fuel is set to on. Carb heat don't need. Mixture... Sorry. Magnetos even are set to both. I'm going to sit myself on the brakes. And we're going to yell out when TrackIR stops moving. Clip up. Put the mouse over to the propeller blade. Have hold of it. And there we go. And as you can see, the aircraft is vibrating. I like this because it is a unstable arrangement with an engine up there. So you can see that's busy shaking away to its heart's content. And the exhaust stack and everything is shaking in there. And the aircraft is just slightly shaking. Realism. I like realism. So, let's run out to the runway. Lovely sounds of this aircraft. Absolutely lovely sounds. Just got to check the audio. Yeah, the sounds of this aircraft are absolutely fantastic. I'll lower myself and lift that up a bit. So takeoff in this aircraft is ridiculously simple. You don't have flaps, so don't worry about that. Just keep it pointed roughly down the centre of the runway and you'll be airborne in, I don't know, 3 to 4 lengths of this aircraft. Get a good headwind and it's even less. These aircraft get off the ground very quickly. Short field approach, this is what this aircraft was invented for. So we are clear on the left, clear on the right. So let's go. Tail's already up. There's 40. And we're airborne. 46 knots, is that? No, miles per hour. 46 miles per hour, and we were airborne. I go back to the words I used when I was flying the Huey. When you are low and slow, it gives you a chance to look at how beautiful this flight simulator really is. And we are still not even doing 60 miles an hour yet. So we are fairly slow. Definitely good sounds in this aircraft. Definitely good sounds. This aircraft is probably not rated for aerobatics. Don't expect it to be doing any loops. Not this version anyway. I don't know what the horsepower of this engine is. I dare say not a lot. It's fantastic. It's another unique, iconic piece of aviation history. I do believe this is CAS's first venture into flight simulation, and I don't know how long it's taken to create this aircraft, but they've done a fantastic job. They really have. There isn't too many J3s in the simulator. Certainly not on the lines of this one, which is as basic as a J3 gets. There is obviously, I can't remember what versions they're called now. Is it Turbo Cubs? I can't remember, the faster, sportier Cubs, or aircraft based off the Cub. Carbon fibre frames and bigger wheels and supercharged engines and all the rest of it. But they're good and they serve a purpose, but this is where it all started. And the J3 will be around for years. A great first flight for any person in aviation. Again, sounds are very good. You can hear the wind blowing over the aircraft, especially I've got the window open. You have real time to look around. I mean, like I said, the visibility even from this aircraft is absolutely amazing. All the way down to about 7 o'clock and 4 o'clock. You can see just fine. Or 8 o'clock, I should say, really. But yeah, great visibility. Even got a good visibility of above you, which, let's be honest, everything's going to be above you. So if you want to just get into an aircraft and just be able to start it up and just enjoy flying, not have to sit at the end of a runway programming in a flight route, you know, doing engine tests on different bits of engines, you know, different avionics screens and all that. This doesn't have it. It's a simpler time. Wondering where this aircraft fits into Flight Simulator, and where it fits into, like, my style of flying is a general aviation. Well, obviously it is a general aviation aircraft straight away, so it fits in quite well on that routine. But it also is a great training aircraft because it teaches you tail dragger handling, because you can ground loop this aircraft. It teaches you the basics of aviation, so everything from engine startup, handling, all that sort of stuff, it's all here. It's a very good handling package. You know, it's handling exactly like I would expect a very light aircraft to handle. Not much input on the controls, gets you quite a bit of input flying. Obviously, if you have real-world weather set up and you have gusts of wind, this will be affected by it. This aircraft doesn't particularly like crosswinds like most tail draggers. And it is a very good aircraft. It, you know, it sort of reminds me of the Ant's Tiger Moth. Simple, also very advanced of an aircraft to be created in Flight Simulator. Very realistic rendition of it. So we're going to start bringing ourselves into a landing, I think. And we're going to land on the short runway. Not always the runway I prefer to land on, but this aircraft's perfectly fine. So we do have some obstacles on our approach. We have a bank of trees right in front of us, and we also have a bank of trees leading onto the runway. It's all just a case of just managing the speed, not really looking at the airspeed indicator, but just judging it by eye. Now, just less. Still descending, about 55. Watching out for obstacles. Also remembering the pop strike. There's 50-ish. Throttling back, nose back. And we're down. A little bit of rudder input there. Haven't even had to touch the brakes, and we're already doing 30. So we're now starting to touch the brakes. There you go. Just got a little bit of the ability that you can tip this aircraft over. So don't press and hold the brakes. Definitely awesome sounds. Definitely awesome sounds. We're going to park ourselves over here by the bushes. Great sounds as well when you go onto the grass. The aircraft gets bounced around a bit. Oh, that's the realism. What can I say about this aircraft? It is another awesome, unique aircraft. Fits in with this scenery just fine in the general aviation stroke light aircraft. It is iconic. The J3 Cub has been around for, like I say, donkey's years. Sort of reminds me, I think the last time I flew a J3 Cub in Flight Simulator would probably be in 2004, I want to say, when they had the Cub as part of the standard aircraft. I think this aircraft here by CAS is the best of the Bogo basic Cubs. There are other versions of the Cub, slightly uprated, which obviously fit a different field, a different niche, but if you're after the original best Cub, you're looking right at it. CAS's Cub, J3 Cub, absolutely awesome. It's available at the moment, or when I purchased it, I think it was only available for 2 different varieties. The Sim Market have it, and I would £16.76 at the moment. I think I paid a little bit less than that, but I can't remember. There's another program you have to download that actually will give you access to this aircraft, will allow to purchase this aircraft, I should say. It's like Orbex's Central, or whatever they call their program. I don't know whether this is going to be coming out on Microsoft's in Sim Shop. It takes forever for anything to turn up on there, but like I say, for 16 odd pounds, I think this is a really, really good aircraft. If you're into general aviation, this thing is absolutely awesome. So if you have any questions or comments about the J3 Cub, please bang them below. I'll get to them as soon as I can, and I will see you in another Microsoft Flight Simulator video very, very soon.